Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. It is Sat Chat time. I hope you're having a wonderful week, wonderful weekend. We're almost to the end of January, which to me is great because that means we're closer to spring. This has been a very productive week for me. I've had a lot of different projects. Actually, Monday I was definitely in, I've got 2 deadlines this week and I wanted to get into procrastination mode. But when I procrastinate, I will take on a whole unrelated project and run with that when I should be doing something else. And so the project that I was thinking of embarking on, but I didn't do luckily, and I actually buckled down and got my work done, was that I was thinking I want to move this room around. And I know I just did my defrag and I kind of studio tour for the year and stuff, but then I was thinking that I wish that I have a couple pastel cabinets, like one with oil pastels, one with soft pastels. I'm going to be filming my oil pastel class. That's going to be my next standalone class on Teachable, and I'm going to be starting filming that soon. And so I'm thinking, man, I wish I could just have my pastels in front of me and reach for them. Just like I used to love when in the room of Hoard. Do you remember when I first started doing Sat Chats during COVID? This room was, we're having an addition put on the house. This room was still my son's bedroom, and I worked in the room of Hoard. And when I filmed Sat Chat, I sat at my desk in front of this, and I had like a mount from the ceiling that I could record over that desk when I wanted to, which I would do in the colder times because I would have like a space heater blowing right on my legs. It's so cold over there. But it was really nice to just be able to pick and get my markers that way. And I was thinking, it was so nice if I had things in front of me and I could just reach everything. But of course you can't have everything accessible or you have a big mess. But anyway, I was thinking, what if I had a shelf in front of my table where I sit and work that I could have my pastel drawers, maybe but then again, if I don't have that behind me on Sat Chat, it's not gonna look good. I don't know. So I was kind of like mulling it over, and I had done a artsy Zoom with the Artsy Main tribe, with Karen, Angela, and Shauna, and so I was like texting them like, what do you guys think I could do with that room? Meanwhile, that's not what I should be doing. I should have been working on my projects, I'm like, okay, I got to table this idea and get started on my project. So let me show you what I made this week. So this is actually going to go up tomorrow. This is watercolor canvas. It is so fun. This is a Phoenix watercolor canvas. I've seen it for years at Ocean State Job Lot and just kind of like ignored it because I remember using Frederick's watercolor canvas back in the day and I hated it. It was so coarse. You'd go to paint a wash and you just see this like cross-hatching texture of the canvas. I did not like it. I gave it away. And for me, starving broke artist Lindsay 25 years ago, to give away a pad of Frederick's, it's so expensive watercolor canvas, I mean, you know that I had to really dislike it. So I just kind of like, I just kind of ignored it. And then Phoenix reached out to me and said, hey, we have some new watercolors. We'd love to sponsor a video if you'd use our new watercolors. And I thought it was the watercolors I'd used in the past because they said they're new professional watercolors. And I thought it was probably, or artist watercolors. So I thought, I have their artist watercolors. They're decent. They're like common, but you know, I'm like, I think I've already reviewed them. She's like, this is a new formulation. We'd like to sponsor a video. And I'm like, all right. And so they sent the watercolors and this video is going to go up tomorrow. And it's shiny because I used Dorland's wax on it, so I can just hang this. I don't have to put it behind glass. So I was so excited painting this. It was so much fun. So they sent these. They are not the same as their artist watercolors. These are their professional watercolors. They just landed on Amazon yesterday. They're amazing. The set of 24 is $29.99 and they have a 10% off coupon. I'm going to have a coupon code for $5 off the Phoenix store in my video tomorrow. But Amazon has a 10% off coupon for all of their stuff, it seems like. But I was blown away, and I started swatching these next to the Winsor & Newton set that I have, like the professional Winsor & Newton set that I got probably 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I don't know, it was quite a while ago, and the colors had the same pigment numbers. I swatched them side by side, movement, color, identical. I'm like, what are you guys doing, Phoenix? And I'm wondering if, now this is my speculation, I have no idea, but I'm wondering if Winsor & Newton is going to be sending the professional manufacturing down to the Phoenix plant too, because that's where allegedly, and I'm going to say allegedly because I don't want to get sued, but that's where allegedly they have their cotton watercolors made. So I think that's really interesting, and it was $29.99 instead of $24. I couldn't believe it. But anyways, you can see them in action. I'm going to use them a little bit more on regular paper. Then I'll do a review that they don't know about. I won't tell them about it. I'm just going to do a review on them like after I've used them a little bit more. But I'm very impressed. I'm sure they'll sell out. But they have open stock, so you can just get a half pan here and there. They're between like $4.69 and $5.69, so quite a bargain, quite a bargain. But the set is the real bargain. The open stocks are good priced, but the sets are the real bargain. And then the other sponsored product, and this video will come out Monday, is this candy jar that I did. Hopefully it's not too bright. I'm just going to hold that there. I'm hoping it's going to focus. But this was using the new Ohuhu color pencils. And so I was doing this and I was having a ball. I was listening to an audiobook and just enjoying myself. And I decided that I should put my colored pencil class on sale while I'm putting this video up, because you know, you might kind of have your interest peaked and you might be like, oh, I'd like to use my colored pencils more, and I'd like to use them with mixed media, or that's just colored pencil. But maybe you'd want to learn mixed media with colored pencils, and my creative colored pencil course goes over mixed media. It goes over doing, like, I think we did 3 projects that were just straight colored pencil, and then we did 6 projects that were colored pencil plus another media, so that you could kind of work in the other things you have and use them together and see how they work together. And there were patterns for everything, so if you're somebody who doesn't feel like they can draw, you can transfer the patterns and do the lessons. So that way, if you're maybe you're not interested in doing artwork start to finish, or original artwork, maybe you like to do stamping or coloring books, but you still want to learn those techniques, you can start with line artwork. If you don't want to, you can sketch along and don't have to do that. So anyway, that class is going to be 30% off. I'm going to put the coupon code in the video description. I think it's Color Me 30, I think, is the coupon code I made, but I'm just going to put it in the video description so that you can click on it if you're interested in the colored pencil course. And I haven't raised my prices since I started my Teachable School back in 2017, so it's a pretty good deal. It's a pretty good deal at regular price, I think, but yeah, get a little bit more interest going in the colored pencils, and it just kind of reminded me how much fun and how much I enjoyed doing colored pencils. And watercolor canvas, it was like sculpting, honestly, in parts of it, because you can lift up so easily and smoosh the paint around, and it was a lot of fun. It's a much finer texture. It's very smooth. I don't know what they have it primed with. It's a watercolor gesso, they said, but it's very smooth. It's not like working just on watercolor ground. It's kind of like in between watercolor ground and Yupo. It's similar to like the texture of, and I've only used them a couple times, the Aqua boards by Ampersand. I think that's who makes them. They're like a watercolor panel, and I didn't really love those for whatever reason, but I really like that. Maybe if I went back to those other products, I would enjoy them more now. But the thing is, I noticed with this is I didn't have as much color shift as I do when I use watercolor ground. So that was just really fun and interesting. And each of those things, oh my word, each of those projects were like 3 hours of hands-on time. I couldn't believe it when I looked back at the footage. But it just shows that I was having a good time and I didn't notice time going by. And speaking of time going by, the book I was listening to while I was working and while I've been walking the dog, we've had like sub-zero weather. It's been like 11 below when I get up in the morning, and it's the time when I usually would walk the dog. So I pushed her walks off until around noontime when I would get up into the teens. And I've been listening to this audiobook when I've been walking her and when I've been working this week, and it was another Alex Michaelides book. It was The Fury, and that was fun. That was a fun book. It's a murder mystery, but it's almost a little tongue-in-cheek. It's if you kind of would like to listen to a mystery, but maybe you're worried that you're going to be triggered by something, there's not a lot of, I wouldn't even say there's any violence, but I hate to say that because, you know, somebody may be more sensitive than I am. And I think there's actually websites where you can go look and see if there's anything that may bother you before you read a book. I think it's called like doesthedogdie.com or something. I don't know. Something like that. I probably Google website that has trigger warnings or something like that if you're concerned about that. But I didn't see anything that would really be bothersome. In fact, I could have that playing in the car if I was riding with, my kids are adults, but yeah, there wasn't anything in there that made me go, ooh, you know, or made me think I might need to stop this, you know. It was good. It was really fast-paced. It was fast-paced. So I've listened to all of Alex Michaelides' books on tape, and they've all been great. in my opinion. I want to actually reread or re-listen to The Silent Patient because he likes to bring characters across his books, which is kind of fun because I was like, oh, is that one from another book? Is that one from, you know, it's kind of like a little, I don't know, it like makes your brain tingle when that happens. Anyway, I really enjoyed that. And I think I also like the novelty of mixing my day around a little bit. So instead of walking first thing in the morning, working first thing in the morning down here in the studio, and then walking and then coming back and editing videos in the afternoon. That was kind of a nice little mix. I like that little mix up in my studio. I can't do it too often. The dog does not like waiting for her walk, but once she's had her walk, she's fine. But she's definitely thinking that I've abandoned her and betrayed her in the morning when she hasn't gone. But today it was a balmy 15 degrees, so we got to go out, or we went out around 9:15. I did wait a little bit because I'm like, we got to be in double digits, dog, before we're going out. And so we were walking in the woods, and we ended up on a different trail than we usually walk on, and I saw an entire deer skeleton. It must have been dragged out by coyotes or something, because it was like right in the middle of the trail, and it was the weirdest thing. It was the weirdest thing, because you see the rib cage and the spine and the jaw. I hope this isn't triggering. I'm sure the deer died of natural causes. And it had, well, actually I'm not sure about that. I don't know, but definitely the circle of life went on, and not a scrap of that deer went to waste because it was picked clean. And then you see like the hips. The hips are teeny weeny. They're like that big. That's the size of the hips. And it's weird because the feet, like the hoofs, are still there intact. So Penny was like sniffing that and checking that out. I actually took a picture. I was like, oh, maybe I want to draw that. I know it's kind of, because I'm thinking like, you know, James Gurney draws a snowbank in a parking lot. And it's beautiful. I'm like, oh, I wonder if this would be an interesting subject. It might be an interesting subject, but maybe it won't be for YouTube. I don't know. But it was interesting. It's like, well, when do you get to see that? You never get to see that. So that was interesting. And it was funny because we saw another like kind of half frozen, like, and it was a deer carcass that we knew about because we smelled it once when we were walking a different trail, and then it got picked clean by buzzards and coyotes and stuff, and then it's just kind of like was half frozen, and she noticed that a couple like last week. But it's interesting when things thaw what you find in the woods. Hopefully I don't turn into one of those murder mystery stories and find some like body out there. Oh, that would be awful. Don't even gonna knock on wood. There we go. Oh, I can't even say that. That's awful. But anyway, that's what I've been up to this week. What else? I've just started filming. I just started filming my next critique club lesson, and the sizing on half of my paper it has gone bad, and it's because I was saving this paper. A viewer fan sent me this paper. It's Milford. It's like a Watman, the remake, and so I've been saving it for best, saving it for the best idea that I ever have. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save that paper until I have just the perfect thing, and which is ridiculous because then I forgot it. And then I found it again when I was doing the defrag, and they're like, oh, I'm going to use it. I put it right in my little cubbies there so I remember to use it. And the sizing on the edge has gone bad. So you kind of see that little frame there. This is just the first layer. And I did the thing where I wet the back of the paper, stick it to my table, and then then paint over it. So this is just like the sketch, and just, you can barely see what it is. But friends of ours moved to New Orleans a couple years ago. And New Orleans got like 9 inches of snow this week, and he took the most beautiful pictures of the St. Louis Cathedral, and was sharing them online. I'm like, oh my gosh, I would love to use that as a reference photo. Do you mind? And he DM'd me some other photos he took of it, and so I'm like, perfect. But I'm thinking that I can salvage this because the sizing in the center of the paper seems fine, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I turn this into like stone, so it's like you're standing inside, like you're standing under the awning of an old New Orleans building, and you're looking across. I don't know what's across the street from the St. Louis Cathedral, and I don't know if you call it the St. Louis Cathedral or the St. Louis Cathedral. I don't know. Such a Philistine. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't even know if I pronounce Philistine right, to be honest with you. Who can say? But I'm excited on working on that. I'm going to work on that a little bit more this afternoon. I have a Zoom call that I have to take too. But Yeah, it's been busy. It's been a nice, busy, quick, fast-paced week, and despite the sub-zero temperatures and the cold snap, it's actually been pretty good. Although I have managed, I think, to addict myself to chapstick. And if you've ever had that monkey on your back, you know how bad it can be when you're addicted to chapstick. And every time you walk by a chapstick, you're putting it on. And I have one in my coat pocket, and I have one in the kitchen, and I have one in my desk drawer, and I have one by the computer, and so I'm constantly applying chapstick, and my lips were getting really chapped. I'm like, how can this be? I am constantly applying chapstick. And Macy's like, well, the wax in those chapsticks, they can like dry your lips out. You need to have like something like Blistex or Carmex, something that's medicated. And so for the last 2 days, I've had to be just on like Carmex or Vaseline because my lips are just so chapped. And so that's why I'm wearing a different shade of lipstick, because I have like Vaseline and then some lipstick over it, because it's like, man, it's such a problem. It became such a problem. I need a 12-step chapstick support group. It was bad. But I think I've got it under control. I think I've got my chapstick addiction under control. There's the quote for the video. Somebody always posts a quote underneath being like, haha, and they'll like replay the quote that I've said, and I'm like, oh, did I really say that? I can never remember. Okay, so what else? I have all these notes, and as I was thinking about moving my studio around, I started putting notes on how I might move my studio around, because I'm like, oh, maybe the Sat Chatters would have something to say about that, but I don't know. I don't like to be boxed in, and yet I want to have all my supplies in front of me so I can reach them, but I don't want to be boxed in. I don't know. It's tough to be me sometimes. Oh goodness, I'm learning new editing software. I use the old editing software on these two things because I needed to get them done by the weekend. Phoenix is a Chinese company. Ohuhu their products are manufactured in China, but they do have an American subsidiary. But there's a big holiday with like the Chinese New Year, so I just want to make sure everything was in before anybody took a break. And I wanted to get that done. Plus, both videos were supposed to be up this month, so I wanted to make sure they were done. I hit my deadlines. That's one thing about me. I hit my deadlines generally. I think usually, unless I just scrap plans altogether and decide not to do it. But where was I going with that? Gosh, let me look at my list again, because the train went off the tracks on that one. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I was thinking about how I want to rearrange things, and I was thinking about maybe putting some cubbies in front of the desk, and then putting the 2 stacks of, so if I twirl this around here, you can see those meet-in drawers there, and then I've got some up there from like Jerry's Autorama. And I thought putting those in front of me would be great, because then when I'm working with pastel, I can pull them out, and I can just I can pull the drawers kind of halfway out, see what I have, grab the sticks that I want, and then I don't have to cover my whole desk with the pastel. So I might just put a bookshelf there, like a short bookshelf, see how I like it, and then if I like it, buy another cube unit, because they're pretty cheap, or just reorganize something in the room forward and steal one of those cube units, because I've got like 4 cube units over there with different stuff on them. So yeah, we'll figure it out. I've also got my stash of things that I want to review and get filed away, because that's been kind of a bottleneck, and I'd like to catch up on that. But yeah, I'm picking away at it. I am using the Kuretake. Is it Kuretake? No, it's not. I keep saying Kuretake. It's not. It's Magello Tourmaline watercolors that Laura Burgess sent me. When I did the review preview, that was a very popular item. Also, the Daniel Smith Permatech that Paula sent me, that's kind of on the up next thing, but I thought that the tourmaline one would go really well with that cathedral picture, so I'm using those. I will have a time lapse of that on YouTube, and then of course the real time will be in Critique Club. But yeah, it's been busy. It's been creative. It's been busy. Oh, I cut bangs the other day when I washed my hair. I was like, see, what happened was I was editing. Oh, video software. That's what we were talking about. So back when Jason worked in my business, he left radio and worked for me for 3 years before going back to radio when the kids were getting ready for college. And when he joined me, he hates the Video Studio Pro that I use. It's a Corel software. And so he bought Sony Vegas 18, and our computer was too old to run it. So he bought the software, and it's just been, we hadn't used it. And so with the new computer that we got, he and because we bought this new computer thinking that he was losing his job at the radio station. That was before it was like bought in the 11th hour and everyone's job was saved. We bought this new computer for editing because the old one that I've been using, it had its quirks, let's just say that. It was over 10 years old, I think, and it was starting to have some issues. And like not running a lot of software that we wanted to run. Even like the newer versions of Video Studio Pro we bought, we couldn't run on it. It was too much program for that. And then I tried to put the newer versions of Video Studio Pro on my laptop, and my laptop was like too new for it or something. I don't know. It's my software woes. I don't know. But I hate to change if I know how to use it because I'm quick on that software. So anyway, he's like, I'm not using that. I want to get Vegas. And I'm like, didn't you already buy that? Can't you just put that on the computer? And then when we looked into Vegas you can't buy it anymore. You have to subscribe to it. So luckily he still had the information from the version we bought, and he put that on that computer, and I edited my Copic review. So the Copic review is up. I edited my Copic review on that. Oh, by the way, just posted a tutorial on my channel. Let me see if I can haul this over here without careening everything onto the floor. But I have a tutorial on how I made this little marker storage rack for my Copic markers. So and I took them out of that rack there, put them all here together. So maybe they'll make me use them more. I usually just mix them all up together, but I thought it would be nice to have them together at least for 6 months so I can see how the new ones perform in like contrast to the older ones I had, just because I want to do a follow-up on that, because right now everything's peachy keen, but I want to see how they hold up if we get any of those issues that I heard you guys talking about. Oh, and speaking of that, okay, by the way, I used the Vegas software. It wasn't that hard. I figured it out and I edited that. But so also, okay, so I've got a little branch off of this trunk of a thought. Jason did a rough cut of the card I did with the flower figure stamp, and we uploaded it, and it didn't do that freezing thing at the end like the one that I posted did, because that happens, and then a few days later it's figured out, it's fixed. YouTube presses it correctly, and then it's fine. It's always fine on my computer at home. If it's over an hour long, I upload it to YouTube, it messes up the end, and then in a couple of weeks or a couple of days, it depends, it sorts itself out. It seems to be a YouTube processing issue, but the one we uploaded from rendered in Vegas didn't have that stuttering. So on that video of the flower fairy card, I have a link. I think I put it in the video description and in a pinned comment, which you can click on that and take you right to like an hour 14 in the video, where on the unlisted video that was the rough cut that we uploaded from rendering in Vegas, and that's there. And I just hope there's no terrible bloopers in there, because Jason just like slapped the footage together and rendered it out. So it's not as like edited as the other one, but it will show you that line. It's not like super edited anyway. But if you want to see the end of that video, the envelope making, all of that, you can access that. The Vegas version is up there. I didn't want to re-upload it because then the algorithm would not look kindly on that, because a lot of people wouldn't watch it that already watched it, and then it would just say, oh yeah, people really hate card making tutorials. Anytime you post another one, it's gonna be not shown to your subscribers, because that's what YouTube does. It shows your subscribers first, and then if your subscribers watch, they'll show a few of your subscribers first, and if they watch it, then it'll show to more subscribers, and then if there's a good percentage of subscribers that click and watch, then they'll show it to the general population that has similar interests. So it's just kind of like, you don't want to mess with it too much, or you can get seriously dinged, unfortunately. But I wanted to let you know that was there if you were frustrated that the video was freezing and you really want to see it in all its glory. So I'll be learning that software, and then we'll eventually be swapping over the computers, which I haven't done yet. Okay, so that was my little branch off the trunk, and then there was something else. What was it? I make notes, but then I think of something else that I want to say, and I completely forget. Oh, so I told you my audiobook recommendation, and it's funny, whenever you guys recommend something, I see if I have it in my local library, either on the Cloud Library app, that's what our library uses, or oftentimes, you probably can on your local library, but you can search the stacks in your library and put in a request, and then your librarian will pull the book for you. At least mine does anyway. And that's really handy. So I was listening to there's a philosophy channel, and they were talking about the book Amusing Yourselves to Death, or maybe that might have been a paper or a book, I'm not sure. They were talking about Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, which perked my interest because I love that book. And then they were also talking about Fahrenheit 451, which I have never read Fahrenheit 451. And I'm like, how can that be? Did I start it and did it just seem too... Sometimes older science fiction can be a little discordant, disjointed, difficult to get into. And so they were talking about the similarities of Brave New World and Fahrenheit 451, and I was like, I've never read that, and I loved it. I loved Brave New World. That was written in the 30s. Fahrenheit 451 was written in the 50s, and I guess I was thinking Ray Bradbury was much older, like his work was much older. So anyway, I requested that book at my library and I got it, and I just been thinking that, and I think this is kind of part of the zeitgeist right now, everyone's having a hard time focusing, and just having brain fog and not being able to just focus. And I think part of it is that we don't do slow work that takes a long time anymore. And so like you're working on these paintings for 3 hours each, listening to a long audiobook, reading instead of scrolling on my phone. I'm gonna train my brain to do more slower things. And I know it's kind of like in opposition to all the media that we consume nowadays, because, and he's talking about it in Fahrenheit 451, he's talking about that written in the 50s. And it was funny because he was, in the introduction to the book, he was talking about how he rented a typewriter to type out the story, and he didn't have money for an office, and he didn't go to college, he couldn't afford college, and so he would always be in the library at UCLA, and he heard typing, and he looked in the basement. They had rental typewriters, and they were like a dime for 30 minutes, and he spent $9.50 to rent the typewriter to type out Fahrenheit 451. And I just thought, wow, and here we have computers, we could type as much as we want for free, and we don't. You know, and I was just thinking about that in my blog post. It's like, I write the shortest blog posts now. I used to write really long blog posts when I first started my blog in 2008. And now they're just kind of like, just the facts, ma'am. Nobody wants to read all that. People are just going to skim it. And it's like, wow, I am a part of the problem. But I never went to TikTok. When TikTok was banned, when they, like, for that, like, 6 hours or whatever it was banned, I was like, this might be a good thing for people's attention span and people's brains, honestly. So I'm just glad that you guys like to sit through longer videos. I'm very thankful for that. But I'm definitely going to do the longer things, spend more time on things that I really enjoy, and read instead of scroll, because at least you can kind of feed your brain with a better quality of material, I think. I know that. But man, great book. I'm probably about halfway through it. I can't wait to finish it. I'm really enjoying it. And I think I'll probably check out the movie after I finish reading the book. I'll probably be disappointed. But he actually said the movie was good, and it has Catherine Deneuve in it, I think. But anyways, I haven't seen that either. But yeah, read stuff. Read. Make art. Do long, enjoyable hobbies. And I feel the pressure. I feel the pressure to speed stuff up. Those two videos are sped up because it's like nobody's going to watch a 3-hour video. Maybe in Critique Club they might. My folks in Critique Club probably would, because they would be painting along. That's why they're members. They would do that to paint along. But YouTube would see that and they'd be like, first of all, we're not going to process that. We're going to make sure it's the most unpleasant watching experience for any point after an hour, and then we're not going to show it to anybody. So we're fighting. We have to fight against the norm to keep our brains healthy. I don't want to have dementia. I want to have a long health span, and I want to be able to enjoy these things I love long into my golden years. So we gotta work out our brains as much as our body, probably more even. Anyway, I hope you are doing something positive this weekend and being creative and having a good time. Let me know what you're up to in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye!